Welcome to the Build a Change Planet People podcast, brought to you by the Lego Group and The Day. Build a Change is a Lego Group social impact programme that is supported by the Lego Foundation. It inspires children around the world to build a brighter future through play and gives them a voice on issues that matter to them.
I'm Nat, a teacher who loves learning, drawing and making things.
And I'm Priya, a journalist who loves meeting fascinating people.
We're so excited you could join us today, whether that's in the classroom, in your home or in your Lego club.
This isn't just a podcast, it's a Build Along podcast.
What's that?
As you listen, get creative with us. Draw, build, craft, whatever sparks your imagination.
Awesome. What do we need?
Anything. Grab a pencil and paper, Lego bricks, clay, or even materials to upcycle. Forage outside if you like.
There are no rules. Just have fun and let your creativity flow.
Exactly. Now, Nat, what are you choosing?
My Lego bricks. How about you, listeners?
If you need to gather supplies, hit pause and come back when you're ready. We'll be right here.
Right, folks. Each episode of this podcast, we focus on an important topic. Today, we're going to explore an emotion.
An emotion?
Yes. The emotion is loneliness.
Emotions are the way our brains and bodies react to things that happen around us. They're feelings like happiness, sadness, anger, or excitement, and they help us understand what we need. For example, if you're feeling happy, it might mean you enjoy what you're doing. If you're feeling sad, it could mean something is bothering you. Everyone has emotions, and they change all the time, and that's completely normal.
Loneliness is a feeling we get when we don't feel connected to others. It can happen when we're alone, but it can also happen when we're surrounded by people, if we don't feel like we're being included or that we belong. Everyone feels lonely sometimes, and it's a natural emotion. Sometimes we enjoy being alone and we want space from people, and that is completely normal too. But if you feel a bit lonely, remember it's just your body letting you know that you need a bit more connection or support. Don't be afraid to reach out to friends and family and let them know how you're feeling.
Natalie, I feel inspired. I've got a great idea for our mini build challenge.
Amazing. Go for it, Priya.
So, to all our friends listening, for our mini challenge, build or draw an object or place that brings people together. It could be as simple as a bench that brings people together, or a tree house where everyone is welcome.
Oh, how about a book club where we could exchange books and make friends?
I love these. When people feel they belong, they're happier, healthier, and more confident. Natalie, let's take a deep breath. And let's talk about how loneliness might make you feel and how we can try to create ways to make sure everyone is included whilst looking after our communities and planets.
Great thinking, Priya. Let's close our eyes. Imagine you're standing in the middle of an empty field. There's no people, no animals, no sounds, just silence. How does that make you feel?
Now, imagine being in a room full of people. It's loud. No one is interacting with you. Everyone is so busy and you don't feel included. How does that make you feel?
These emotions and feelings you've just imagined are both different types of loneliness.
Now, picture yourself in those situations, but discovering ways to find or connect with the people around you. What would you create to make it welcoming for everyone? What would you include to bring people together and make them feel included?
How might you build for belonging? Let's hear from our planet person on tackling loneliness and bringing people together. Today's special guest is Andrea Wigfield. She's a social scientist who studies how we all think, feel and connect. She's spent years researching loneliness and working with some amazing organisations to help communities feel more connected.
Now, as you listen to our chat with Andrea, jot down any thoughts or ideas that inspire you. Got a pen and paper? If not, hit pause and grab them. You won't want to miss this. Hi, Andrew. It's so lovely to have you with us today. Tell us about what you do and why it matters to people.
Thanks. It's really great to be here as well. So I'm a professor at Sheffield Hallam University, and I run a research centre called the Centre for Loneliness Studies. And we carry out research to understand loneliness. We want to know how it affects people and what we can do about it. And we study why people feel lonely, what kinds of people are more likely to feel lonely, and what different events in our lives maybe can trigger loneliness. We also research how our surrounding environment can either trigger loneliness or help us feel more connected. And we know that our local neighbourhood, schools and workplaces can all affect how lonely we feel. Now, an important part of our work is to find out how we can reduce people's feelings of loneliness and help them feel more connected.
So, Andrea, what kinds of projects have you found to be especially good at helping to tackle loneliness?
So there are lots of different projects around the country that are really effective in tackling loneliness. One example is intergenerational living. Now, intergenerational living is where young and old people live together in the same areas or spaces. And there are different kinds of projects that are designed to encourage older people and young people to live together, so they can support each other and provide friendship for each other.
Why do you think it works so well getting young people and old people together in that way?
I think that one of the things that sometimes we think is that we can only form friendships with people of our age, and that's not necessarily true. The way in which we connect with people and form friendships is around having shared interests and values. So it's, we can connect through things like cooking and music. And for those kinds of activities, it doesn't really matter what age we are. It's more about the thing that we've got in interest, the thing we've got in common.
Thank you, Andrea. So what's interesting to me is that we live in a world surrounded by people. We go to work and we're around people. We go to school and we're around our classmates. So why do people actually feel lonely, even when they're surrounded by others?
So when we feel lonely, it's often because we don't have the right kinds of connections or relationships, the relationships that we want or need. So we can be surrounded by people, but if those people don't provide the right kinds of connections that we need or want, then we can feel lonely. And not all kinds of social relationships are enough to make us feel connected. So the important relationships when we're thinking about loneliness are relationships which are called meaningful relationships or meaningful connections. And they're the relationships that are really important to help us feel connected and less lonely. And these meaningful relationships are more likely to emerge with people who have similar values to us or similar interests or similar goals. I think one of the things to remember is loneliness can strike us at any time. And at some point in our lives, we'll all feel lonely. But having said that, some of us are more likely to feel lonely than others. So we know that age plays an important role in how likely we are to feel lonely. And there are also events in our lives that can trigger loneliness as well. So some examples of events that can lead to loneliness are when maybe a close friend or a relative or a pet dies, when we move schools, if we change jobs, or when we move houses. And this kind of loneliness is usually temporary and it disappears when we start to connect to other people again.
You talked about brilliant projects around intergenerational relationship building. What other innovative ways have you come across that people are tackling loneliness?
Another intergenerational activity which is really helpful is called intergenerational music making. And this involves school children and older people getting together in local communities to sing and carry out songwriting. There are also other examples where you've got school children and older people going to local museums and carrying out art together. But then some other examples that are beyond the intergenerational angle. One example is the friendly bench. So this provides specially designed seating areas for people of all ages. and the benches have a space around them for growing plants and flowers as well. So the friendly bench is designed to connect people together to the community, to nature, and also to other people as well.
I love these ideas. They're beautiful. I was really interested as well. How is technology being used to tackle loneliness?
So there are some robots that are called social robots, and they're designed to be a social companion for people who are lonely. And they can do a number of things. They can be there to talk to, but also they can do activities for you as well. So if you're an older person and you might need some support around the home, and they can also be used to connect with other family members through a video screen in the robot, so you can actually see other people and have conversations through those. So there are different ways. Almost a robot is like the equivalent of maybe having a pet or an additional person there.
How can young people help others who might be feeling lonely? What are some practical ways that young people can actually do this?
So I've got a few tips. I think some of them can be used in the school environment and some can be used outside of school. So I think some examples how you might help others when you're at school. If you see another young person alone, maybe at lunchtime, you could invite them to eat with you or introduce them to your friends. Or if you're in the playground at school, you might ask somebody who you feel is on their own to join in one of your games or to join a group of friends. And sometimes I think in lessons at school you can feel lonely as well, especially if you've got to get into pairs or groups and you might not feel that you have a group or a pair to get into. So if you're a young person and you're at school and you see somebody like this who maybe hasn't got a partner or a group to join, you can actually go up to somebody and ask them, do you want to join my group or would you like to work with me? Some other tips that I've got for young people who might want to help others outside of school. So you might want to invite somebody around to tea if they feel lonely, or ask them if they want to go to the cinema with you. Or you might encourage them to join clubs. We know that if you join things like sports clubs or music clubs, you can find new friends quite easily there. Finding friends and people to talk to is often easier if you've got something in common. So just think about the kinds of hobbies that people are interested in and encourage them to do that.
So, Andrea, are there small things we can do every day to feel more connected to each other, to our environment and to the community?
Yeah, there are lots of small things that we can do every day that make a big difference to people's lives. So one thing we could do is smile or talk to people as we pass them by, whether it's in the neighbourhood, whether it's at school or at work. We know that small acts of kindness like that can really help people feel connected. Another thing you might do is send a text or voice message to someone that you haven't seen for a while to say hello and ask how they are. Or you might want to try spending some time in green spaces, such as in parks or in your garden. We know that spending time in green spaces can help feel a sense of belonging to your community and can help improve your well-being. Or you might offer a neighbour some help who might need support. You could offer to put the bins out, walk the dog, collect the shopping, or maybe just take some letters to the post box. Or another small thing you might want to do is join a local voluntary group which is concerned with improving the local environment. So, for example, there are groups like litter picking, and that'll help you to connect with your local environment, but also you'll get an opportunity to meet other people there as well.
So we know that loneliness is a very human emotion. It's very natural and to feel this way sometime in your life. So if someone is feeling lonely right now, what advice would you give them?
I think the first thing is it's really important to recognise that you feel lonely and accept that you feel lonely, and not to worry too much about it initially. Remember that loneliness is just a trigger to remind you that you need to make more connections. So like when we're hungry, we have a trigger to remind us to eat. Loneliness is the same. It's just a trigger to remind us that we might need to connect to more people. So the first really important piece of advice is recognise you feel lonely. Remind yourself that it's just a signal to make more meaningful connections. And then think about how you're going to go about those connections. I think secondly, keeping busy is really important. So you might want to get more involved in work, schoolwork, or hobbies. Gardening, sports, music, they can be useful ways of keeping busy. The more busy you are and the more involved in activities that you enjoy, that can distract you from feeling lonely. Another tip is to reduce your use of social media. We know that social media can increase people's feelings of loneliness and can reduce their well-being. So reduce your social media use to 20 minutes a day. That can help you feel less lonely and you'll feel a lot better in yourself as well. You could try visiting some places where you feel a strong sense of belonging to that place as well. So that might be something like a sports venue, like a football ground, a running track, a swimming pool, or it could be a place of worship like a church or a mosque, or it might be a favourite beach or a favourite park. And we know from research that people feel less lonely when they have a meaningful relationship to a place, a sense of belonging to that place, as well as to other people. Another thing you might do is join a music group like a choir or an orchestra. We know that playing or singing together can create a common bond, which can help you feel a sense of belonging and feel less lonely. And as I've said before, voluntary work is a really good way to get to know other people and keeping you busy. You can help out in a local charity shop, or you might offer to do some shopping or gardening for a neighbour, or maybe take the dog for a walk.
Andrea, I have learned so much about human connection and loneliness and being able to connect with our community. I'm sure all our listeners have been inspired to be able to really reach out to people around them and tackle loneliness. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
How awesome was that interview?
Nat, I have learned so much about myself and people around me. Our feelings and emotions really do impact the world we live in.
I totally agree. Oh, that reminds me. We need to tell our friends listening about the Build the Change challenge.
Oh, yes, please go for it.
Drum roll, please. Your challenge is to create something that tackles loneliness and helps local people feel connected. We learned so much from Andrea, and now it's your turn to see how we can build a community that has a sense of belonging and where everyone feels included. So let your imagination and your creativity run free.
Let's recap on Andrea's great advice.
Loneliness is a signal, just like thirst. When you're thirsty, your body tells you it needs water. In the same way, when you're lonely is your body's way of saying you need connection. Loneliness is normal. Everyone feels lonely sometimes. It just means we need more connection. Friends come in all ages. We can be friends with anyone, people that are older or younger than us, as long as we share the same hobbies and interests. There are fun ways to connect. Singing, playing music, making art, and even special community benches help people make friends. Helping others makes everyone happy. A smile, a hello, or inviting someone to join a game can make a big difference. Nature and pets help us feel better. Being outside or having a pet can make people feel less lonely and more connected.
Great takeaways there, Natalie. Also, don't forget, once you have finished, ask your grown-up to add your brilliant ideas to our online gallery at www.buildthechange.theday.co.uk for the whole world to be inspired. You can also find out about our Building for Belonging competition to win some awesome prizes.
Now you have everything you need to continue with your builds.
And it's almost time for us to say goodbye.
But before you do go, you can find more podcasts, our gallery, more creative challenges, and even more fun over on our website. Until next time, it's goodbye for now.